Hello. Again. Today, let's talk about my top 5 obscure action fighting games. Before the Minecraft generation, kids used to play video games with other kids. It has been so long that some people doesn't even know this was usual back then. See? This is how it used to be. Kids sharing the couch with other kids and playing two-player games together. It's hard to believe, I know, but it's true. And one of the most famous types of game we used to play was this kind of fighting game where you choose a character and goes beating a lot of dudes in the streets until you fight the boss. The most famous example of this kind of game was Final Fight. The history is pretty simple. Some bad guy kidnapped a girl, who happens to be the daughter of the mayor of the city, who happens to be a former pro wrestler, who happens to be the father-in-law of Cody, who happens to have a friend named Guy, who happens to be a ninja. So, as you expect, that bad dude is pretty fucked. These three guys go rampage, kicking asses until they rescue Jessica, who happens to be the girl that was kidnapped. Got it? No. It doesn't matter, because this history was copied again, and again, and again, and again in millions of games like this one. So, eventually, you will get it. People who like this kind of games know the most famous titles, such as Double Dragon, Final Fight, Captain Commando, Alien vs Predator, The Punisher, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, King of Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons, The Simpsons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Turtles in Time, Sunset Riders, Battletoads, and many more. What I want to show you here is some games that wasn't so famous, but are somewhat nice to play. This is my list of the best 5 obscure action fighting games. So, let's start. Number 5, Undercover Cops. Undercover Cops is this producer's first attempt in the modern beat-em-up genre that was founded by Capcom's Final Fight. Players control city sweepers, a police agent-like group who fight crime by taking down thugs in New York City of the year 2043. This game is very well animated, characters have a lot of frames, there is an okay number of different enemies, and there are 3 characters to choose from. Take a look at this girl for instance. She is carrying a military Hummer now by herself. What a girl. The other 2 characters are okay, but I'm not very fond of them. The level design is good, but the game lacks a variety of backgrounds, and this kind of darker theme keeps repeating during the entire game. I don't like how enemies were created too. I think I have seen this kind of enemies somewhere else. Wait. I remember now. This is very similar to the famous Metal Slug game series. And it has to be, because the same team who made this game flew away from this corporation to fund the Nevsca Corporation, who created the Metal Slug series. That's it. There are some bad ideas in this game too. Look at this, you have to pull an entire light pole from the earth to hit your enemies. And as soon as you start hitting them, the pole starts to break and loses its efficiency. Well, I will let you hear the game for a while now. I think that's enough, right? I don't think I have anything else to say about this shit. Or have I? Oh, and, of course, there's the difficulty. This game is hard as hell. It makes me nervous just to look at this again. If you were paying to play this shit you would probably have given up very long ago. Seriously, I don't like this kind of robotic, mechanical futuristic theme. I think there are better options for you to play and that's why this game isn't last on my list. Only come to this game if you already finished all other games shown here. Number 4, Night Slashers. This game is incredible because it is not based upon that same story of a girl being kidnapped by some criminals. Here, you fight against the undead. The story. I don't know anything about it, but, really, does it matter? You are kicking the devs' asses. That's more than enough to make you have fun for a long, long time. And remember, this game came before the zombie fever that followed games such as Resident Evil. So, it deserves some respect. Here, we have 3 characters. And 3 different endings depending on who you pick up to play. Jake Hunter is an American monster hunter and street brawler with combatant cybernetic arms. He is not very interesting to me. Then, we have Christopher Smith, a European vampire hunter and martial artist. Cool, isn't it? He is the most balanced character with an average in speed and power, and I suggest you pick this guy. His elements are water and ice. And finally, we have this Chinese girl, Hong Hua, or whatever, an Asian female girl with interesting mystic arts. She is the most agile, but of course, the most fragile of the 3. There is various locations that you pass, and most of them aren't usually seen on this kind of game. This makes things more interesting, because there is a certain emotive surprise element inside. The game has a lot of humor, like here, for example. This is a bonus stage, where you have to kick some heads. Look at the signs. It looks like the undead like hamburgers too. We also have another bonus, where you must strike an undead in another pile of undeads, for the perfect bowling experience. The gameplay is not the best in the world, we have some slowdown issues here and there, but overall it's passable. With 2 players, the thing gets more interesting, and each character have a lot of special moves and things like this. This is recommended. Unlike Undercover Cops, I had some good time playing this. Now, let's go for the next. Number 3, Vendetta. Okay. If you're an old gamer, you are probably thinking, this guy is insane. This game is not obscure in any way. And yes, I agree with you. But if you make a list of the most popular games, such as those I mentioned in the beginning of this video, then Vendetta is more or less obscure, especially for the new players, who are probably the majority of people interested in this list. And since this game is an absolute must for everyone interested in beat-em-up games, I put it here. This is not Konami's response to Final Fight from Capcom. This, actually, is the sequel of another good game called Crime Fighters. Here, we have the same story I told you in the beginning. The pretty girl gets kidnapped by some local nonsense gang member, and her friends come to rescue her. Now, our friends must go after her. To bring her back home and, well, do something else the game didn't mention. Let's meet our heroes. Blood. The usual strong dude. Hawk. Should be Hulk Hogan in disguise. Boomer. Martial artists and the best player in this game. Sledge. G.I. Joe at its best. Well, this game has some differences between those I mentioned before. Here, you can play up to 4 people simultaneously and bring real chaos in the streets. This is absolutely awesome, and makes hours of fun. Other interesting thing is, you don't jump. Here, we have only 2 buttons, 1 punch and 1 kick. And of other combinations possible, depending on how your enemy is standing and who they are. You can also pick a lot of weapons, dropped by bosses, or normal enemies. Actually, you can pick up almost everything, such as this bucket, and can try a lot of different effects on each enemy. The controls are amazing, but, remember, since this game has particular controls and you cannot jump, the gameplay sometimes feel a little strange and you should play some time until you get used to it. The graphics are not something wonderful, even back in the time, but have vivid sprites, good animation and somewhat good variety of backgrounds. This game is good. Seriously. Pick 3 more joysticks and call your friends. I'm certain you will have a good time. Now, on the next one. Number 2, Violent Storm. No. As you can see, this game, again, uses the same story. Another girl kidnapped by some gang. So, we can leave the story aside and talk about other things. This is one of the best looking games of this genre ever produced using 2D technology back in the 90s. It features huge characters, extremely well designed backgrounds, digitalized voices and music, including some sung music in the backgrounds. This is amazing. As you can see in this footage, the sprites are huge, taking almost half of the screen. And the movement is fluid, very well animated. I will let you hear the actual music and sound of the game. Oh, yes. Shit. This is amazing. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. It is awesome as well, the controls are precise, the character's response is instantaneous, and there are huge, emotive moves to learn and use on the enemies. So, why this game is on this list? Why such a wonderful game is obscure, for Christ's sake? I think there are some reasons for this. First, this game came too late. The year is 1993, and people were starting to lose interest on this kind of games. Now, the most desired games were fighting games, such as Street Fighter II and Mortal Kombat. And, this game lacks some charisma. The characters are not so cool as other games. The enemies are generic, and, of course, the story is the same as every single other game on the market. That's why this game didn't make so much success. But, hey, you are not interested in history lessons, right? You are interested in a good beat 'em up, and this, my friend, is one of the best games you can find to play with your friends or alone. I can say that this game is much better than most famous games such as Captain Commando and Alien vs Predator. So, this is a guaranteed option. So, what could be better than this? What game could receive more credit than this? You will find out. Number 1, Streets of Rage Remake, by Bomber Games. Bomber Games is a group of good Streets of Rage fans, who decided to do what Sega should have done, long time ago, make a good Streets of Rage sequel. They combined the 3 games in one, plus created new stages, new remixed HD music, new history, new colors for every character, the option to play with bosses and secret characters, the option to play classic versions of each character, new shadows and lighting effects to every background, new gameplay, secret game modes, bonus game modes, and a completely new editor that can allow you to build your own game and story. This is the perfection. There is no other game, ever, more fun and complete. What is best? It was designed to run on Windows, is free to play and can be downloaded from the internet. I do not know what else to say. If you are looking for something to play aside of all those classic games, pick this one, and be happy. Thank you very much for watching the shit, and please comment below what you think, and if you wish to watch more lists like this one in the future. Thank you. Zoom appreciates your support.